completely healed. She must be an empath.
That word is ruined.
All right, classic.
They've definitely used this exact set.
And the Enterprise has been ordered to evacuate the station before the planet becomes uninhabitable.
Apparently, these instruments have not been recently used.
I like that dust moment.
What we see on this tape happened approximately 3 months ago.
I don't think I can stand another week in this godforsaken place.
Well, luckily for you.
What happened to them?
Was he bleeding there? Had a little blood on his eyebrow.
All right, well, let's see where they're actually going for this episode. Not there, I guess.
As we've mentioned before, there should be regular check-ins at all times. Oh no, the empath!
This is the first time ever it was just a black screen to show the title.
Fitting.
That's a nasty cut, Jim. Does it hurt?
You're right.
Phasers on stun.
Is the phasers on sun thing like a new thing this season? I feel like they've said it in every episode, and I don't remember them, used to saying that.
They filmed this in a giant empty warehouse?
Is that the empath?
Are you responsible for bringing us here? Don't be afraid. Bones, what's wrong with her?
She's a mute, Jim. No vocal cords.
A race of mutes. Like the civilization on Gamma Vertus 4.
That's my observation, for whatever it's worth.
Okay.
Well, we can't keep referring to her as she, as if she weren't here.
Get her one of those whiteboards she can write on.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm going to call her Jem.
Gem, Doctor?
Well, that's better than hey, you.
Oh, what the hell? Is that the Telosians? From the Menagerie?
Oh, yeah.
Who are you? Why did you bring us here?
We are Vians. Do not interfere.
Leave Pat Benatar alone.
We come...
Did they accidentally play the sound effect twice? Why would you keep trying it?
The more you resist, the stronger the force field becomes.
Oh no! That's taking empathy to a new level.
The wound is completely healed. She must be an empath.
That word is ruined.
Her nervous system is so sensitive, highly responsive, that she can actually feel our emotional and physical reactions.
What happened to those two first dudes that were beamed into this universe?
That's what I was thinking. Like, I thought when they came in here, they would be here already. Like, we've been here 20 years or something. But no.
Yeah, full beards.
Bones. Spock, come here.
Oh, there we go.
There they are.
Those are gonna be their names.
It's like We could have figured that out.
Their own imperfections killed them. They were not fit subjects.
It's their fault. Their fault that we killed them.
The sun is about to nova. When it does, it'll destroy you, this planet, and this insane torture chamber.
Oh, no way, dude.
All reliable.
Let's get out of here.
Spock's getting too old for this shit.
I forget that it can work across... Oh, wait. Was he acting? It's a good thing none of them looked back.
Kirk to Enterprise.
That was weird.
Kirk to Enterprise, come in.
Oh, they're out.
Hey, Jim, look. Scotty in a search party.
Oh, it's a trap.
Stay there.
It has to be a trap.
You know that's not Scotty.
A mirage. Oh, that was a neat shot.
He's like, I'll take you both on myself.
Damn it. Come on, dude. Fisheye?
Where did they go?
Oh, yeah. Alright, guys, we need that shot to last 30 seconds, so just slow it down as much as you need.
This is definitely Phil that 50 minutes episode.
Yeah, it's like, I'm digging what's going on, but it's like, yeah, like, alright.
Do you suppose our landing party could be in any danger?
That's not likely. And if I know Captain Kirk, he'll be more worried about us than we are about him.
Oh my god. Nice cut.
Now we want you to reveal to us your courage and strength of will.
I'm sorry. The fact that his arms aren't straight is really bothering me. If he's really dead hanging, he should be. Because that takes a lot of... That'd be extremely uncomfortable.
A constant pull-up.
Yeah, a constant half pull-up. It's like... That would be so painful.
I mean, it's like, why couldn't he just be standing on a box with his arms straight up?
Or just on a box. His arm's still like that. I sense you're in pain. Yeah, you just watched me be tortured.
Earlier, they were like, the more you struggle, the stronger the force field gets. Like, what if you just do nothing? This woman is trying her hardest, man.
It's gotta be tough
This
having
actress.
no words. Imagine all your lines just being stage direction.
She takes the pain. Nice progressive makeup shots there.
Can you explain what happened?
Complete empathy. She must be a totally functional empath.
Come on, Bones, you gotta give us something deeper than that, man.
We already came to that conclusion. Were they really so desperate to stretch this episode that they gave us the same exposition twice?
How do you feel?
I'm tired.
Me too.
You will decide which of your men we shall use. There is an 87% chance that the doctor will die. And we're intended to live this far underground. It's just not natural.
As space travel is.
Some men spend the majority of their lives in mines beneath the surface.
I'm a doctor, not a coal miner.
Nice.
What is it? I don't need any.
I'm still Chief Medical Officer of the Enterprise. I'll tell you what you need and when you need it. Just lie down and relax.
You simplified the situation considerably.
How?
While the captain is asleep, I am in command.
Oh, damn.
I shall go with them.
It's like, is she gonna add anything to the episode eventually?
Come on, Spock mind meld with her.
True. Oh!
My decision stands.
Wow.
Not this time, Spock.
Choice has been made.
He actually outsmarted Spock. Wow.
Common Bones W.
Becoming more and more common.
Doctor,
But he keeps his shirt on.
Aim for the left.
Bones.
They hung him.
Oh no. Oh god.
Oh! They did say, what, it was like a 87% chance he would die or something?
His wrists.
Oh, she's gonna take all that pain and come close to dying, probably.
You're telling me just pulling that little rope lowered him? That makes no sense.
Wouldn't pulling the rope make them go up?
Yeah. Whatever. It's not a real
Yeah,
world.
it doesn't matter.
Severe heart damage. Signs of congestion in both
That's how
lungs.
bored I am. I'm pointing out pointless details.
You've got a
Look at that makeup.
Oh.
good bedside manner, Spock.
Come on. Why are we playing dumb on this?
Oh.
No interference will be permitted.
Of all the planets of Manara, we have the power to transport the inhabitants of only one to safety.
We must make certain beyond any doubt whatsoever they are worthy of survival.
But her willingness to give her life for him will.
That's the test?
Okay, so is she deaf too? I thought they just said she didn't have vocal cords and was mute. Did she not hear anything they're saying?
I'm sure she can.
She's not reacting to anything, or like they just revealed the whole plan. So if she can hear them, she could just,
Maybe they're treating it like Star Trek whispers.
I don't know. How'd you guys miss it? My bad.
That is most significant.
You know, in the time you take to ran this whole test, you probably could have transferred more people off the planets.
You know, this doesn't ethically clear them of what they've done. Like, they still killed innocent people.
Yeah.
Dr. McCoy's life is not solely dependent on Jem. The Vians, too, must be capable of saving his life.
True.
We heard you. Finally.
Finally!
All emotion must be suppressed. That might weaken the field. I'll try.
I think they were actually whispering there.
Yeah, well, yeah, after he got called out, he had to put more effort in to be quiet. No, that's what I said earlier. I was like, just do nothing.
Just grabbed his arm like an adult. Give me that.
We must save the life of our friend.
No. We will not.
Jem has earned the right of survival for her planet. She offered her life.
Don't understand what it is to live. Love and compassion are dead in you. You're nothing but intellect.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
You not know the story of the merchant?
No, I don't. Can someone please tell me?
Who, when he found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it.
Yes, she was all that.
But it was good old-fashioned human emotion that they valued the most.
Perhaps the Vulcans should hear about this.
I shall certainly give the thought all the consideration it is due.
A bit of sarcasm from Spock? I thought he wasn't supposed to know how to do sarcasm.
What are you talking about? He's very sarcastic. That was a classic episode ender right there. The classic, oh, Vulcans, oh.
Let's just start with this. If you like this episode, that's totally fine. And just a reminder, that we can have different opinions about an episode, and it's okay. All right, you could be disappointed if you wanted us to like this, and we, you know, first of all, I'm not even saying that we both didn't like it. I'm not even getting there yet. I'm just saying I think we're gonna have a lot to say about this episode, and I'm very mixed about it. So before we get to it, just remember it's not that serious. But I'll let you go first, Alex. But I'll just say, I just feel like this episode was like really cool, interesting stuff, like not executed well at all, in my opinion. That's just the vibe I got from the whole thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here we could point out that we'll get to that I thought was really interesting, and I would like to see just in a better episode. This episode didn't come together at all for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, interesting, cool idea. Like, when all the details came out at the end, I'm like, oh, that's neat. But the way it was executed, I'm just like, yeah. But I think performance of the week for me, if I'm reading the right name here, Alan Bergman as Lau, the main one, like the one that had like the Thanos chin. That whole guy's performance was, I thought he was great. He did a lot of good acting. Actually, good acting with his eyes. I can, feel everything that, he was conveying. While the mute, like I don't know if she thought like we were doing a play, but everything was just so like, like I don't know if that's like, oh, I'm an empath. That word is ruined for me forever, and this episode did not fix that. it's still a hilarious word to me, but the score reminded me a lot of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. At the end when they're floating in the glass elevator. And I think that's part of the reason I laughed so loud at the end, because when they started floating away, it's just like the elevator. But yeah, I talk about these episodes all the time when I talk about stretched for time. That first 35, 40 minutes, you can tell those little hints where it's like, they show all the tubes with all their names, and you're just like, oh, God. And exposition twice for something that we already know. I don't know. This episode had the pieces. The puzzle wasn't put together very well.
It had a lot of potential. I think it looks like her name was Catherine Hayes, who played Jem. I don't blame her for the performance. Like, she was trying really hard with what she was given, and it's a tough thing to do, to have no lines, but yeah, just very overacted, like much more overacted than we've seen from William Shatner, or anything else that people make fun of typically. Like, it was very over the top, and I get what the character's trying to be, but it just kind of took me out of it. The whole thing at the end where they're trying to have the emotional moment with her and Bones and whether or not she's going to sacrifice herself for him just fell completely flat for me. And I liked the score. Like you mentioned, it reminded me of the episode from last season, Metamorphosis. I don't know if it's the same score or a similar one, but I really liked that, and I liked how in the beginning of the episode, when they first get into this black zone, it was mostly silent, which was cool, because it was like they're in this basically zone of nothingness. But then once the empath came in, there was that nice score, and I liked that score. So that was good. And the creatures themselves, what they called the Vians?
Vians, yeah.
Again, potential of like a really cool alien species design, but like, why did their makeup just kind of look like shit? And like, they didn't even really alter their face that much with the makeup, so it looked like they had makeup on their face like just for the sake of it, because like it didn't look very good. Like, just put some like veins around his mouth and stuff. Like, it just didn't look great. The head looked really cool.
The head looked awesome, yeah.
But yeah, I was just like left wondering, like, why does it not look that great? And then the set also, there's some cool stuff on the set, and even it being like in this black nothingness area, like, I'm down for that too, but it just never really came together for me, and it made it get boring really fast, because they spend most of the episode in this nothing area, and they're not presenting like new fun information. It's just, over and over the same thing. She's an empath. Here's another situation. She's an empath. I will say, though, that the torture scenes, that was crazy. That was nice to see. Not nice to see, but that was interesting watch, seeing Kirk and then Bones both go through that process. And there was just a bunch of little nice moments, like Bones knocking out Spock and, outsmarting him in that situation. And even, like, the scene where McCoy dies for a second, and he says to Spock, like, you have good bedside manner, and that's his last words. So there was neat stuff in here, but yeah, this felt like it could have been a if the show had been a half hour, this would have been a perfect half-hour episode, you know? It just got stretched too much.
Yeah. I just feel like put a little more of that information that was all dumped at the end, a little more in the beginning, or some more clues as to, you know, what's going on. But the one thing about all these episodes that you can count on is that there's always going to be good little moments between the big three. There was some neat camera work, I will give it that. There was some neat shots, like they brought the fisheye back for a second. Slow motion Kirk, you know, running, like doing the platoon shot. You know, that was pretty funny. Now let's pick apart thing. Oh, also, fake Scotty. The Mirage
that was nice.
scene. That was great. Now let's pick apart this whole within world logic. So have they brought like one person per planet at different times, or was Jem like the only one they brought aboard? Like, what's the status of these other people on these planets? Have they been testing these for a while? Did they test like the other people with the two dudes that were there before? Was Jem brought on the same time? I don't know. It does raise a lot of questions.
Yeah, this story makes no sense. And it's one of those things where you can just throw up your hands and say, it's an episode of Star Trek from the 60s, whatever. And I can do that to a certain extent with a lot of episodes, but the core of the story needs to somewhat make sense. And this doesn't make any sense. These aliens are basically, they are hearing and seeing everything that's going on this entire episode. Why do they only come into frame at like random moments when they're able to, like, whenever the big three is devising a plan of how to get out of this, why do they allow it to go as far as they do? And I know they say things like, oh, we can't interfere or blah, 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 but they can interfere because they show up and put them in force fields whenever they want. And then when Spock and Kirk get out of the force field at the end, they don't do anything or react. They're just like, oh, okay. Like, it just... And again, it all comes down to if at the end they were like, oh, this was just one big test, no one's actually dead. You know, kind of like, again, like Willy Wonka, like, you know, I know the book is different, but in the movie when he's like, oh, all the kids are actually fine. You know, it's like, if it was one of those things, I would understand. But no, like, they actually killed people. And they're like, the whole experiment test here is not ethical, and they don't have a good enough excuse to be, like, killing people to decide, you know, what they're going to do with this test. So it's like, when they're just doing whatever they want, but then at the same time, like, only show up when it's convenient for the story, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's why Kirk gave him that, you know, big old speech, you know, like, oh, you don't care about life, but it's like, the whole reason they're doing this is to try to preserve life, so they're contradicting themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't care about life, or... Go on.
And the speech was not convincing or good. Not one of Kirk's good speeches. The fact that he was instantly convinced after Kirk basically scolded him for 10 seconds, and he's like, all right, well, no, he didn't even say anything. He just, like, then he just walked over and brought them back to life. It's like, oh, well, guess they were convinced. Like, that's all it took, you know?
Yeah, I get it. Different species have their different ideologies and thought patterns, and we can't begin to understand because they're not real or they're it's an alien, whatever. But the fact that just one speech from Kirk, it's like, oh, you're right, but not saying it. But I'm trying to think of logic, you know? It's like, how about you... It's because it wouldn't make for good TV. Like, they brought him down, hey, we're running a test, you know, blah, 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 these species, you know, we're running a test. And they got to, you know, make a choice on whether to save you or not. And that... Maybe they could have divulged a whole different plotline written story from that side. That might have been better. If they could, I don't know.
I think when it just comes down to it, there just wasn't enough here to make a 50-minute TV show. And I looked it up, and the writer Joyce Muscat was one of these, you know, fan writers for this season. And, you know, the last one we saw was my favorite episode of the season and one of my favorite episodes of the show. So I'm not, like, saying anything against fan writers or anything. Like, that's clearly not the case for me. But, I mean, it does just go to show that sometimes they're going to be winners, sometimes they're not. Clearly, this person wrote this episode, and there's not enough here. Like, this could have been a cool short story, basically. And then they stretched it, and they didn't add enough to it, and there's just not enough here. The empath, while she ends up serving a big part in the episode, the first 40 minutes, she's useless. Like, all we get to do is see her, like, absorb the pain. We only needed to see it once or twice. Like, we do not need to over and over have the same thing happen. And she only comes in at the end to, like, satisfy the story, but it was, like, barely set up, and I didn't care about her character at all. Which, again, is hard to do when she's completely mute, but, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a character in The Boys that doesn't speak at all, and she's one of my favorite characters. But that's an entire, series of television, not one episode. So
The beginning of this episode I actually liked. So like the beaming down to the planet, the going into this dusty set, they all disappear. The prior crew or whatever disappears. Like I was all bought in on the hook. And then when it gets into the episode, I was bought in when they are in this dark area, and then the aliens show up. Like I was like, oh, this is like a nice, cool, sci-fi episode, and then it just completely fell off. Like after the first, I would say probably the turning point for me was after that Scotty Mirage part. Like everything was pretty good or decent up until then, and then once they captured them again, oh, now we're right back to where we started 10 minutes ago. What a waste of time.
Yes, exactly. We just got right back to where we were. I mean, it led to the torture scene, the odd, arms bent, then it cuts to the back, then they're like this, then cut back, and they're like this. But yeah, you're right. It was so interesting because like Spock does the neck grip and they escape, and then they just get up and look at each other. It's like, ooh, this is neat. Someone survived the neck grip, and then it just didn't lead to anything.
Yeah, I just think the biggest missed opportunity is just the Vians, this alien species that I wish they were just like done better. Like they could have been cool, or they could have been, maybe make them have some limitations so they can't just pop in whenever they want. Like, in the Menagerie, I thought it was, I haven't watched The Cage, obviously, but in the Menagerie version of it, I thought it was interesting how they played like kind of this small part of the story, the Telosians, and they, would actually have weaknesses and like, flaws and stuff that kind of went against them. But these creatures look like they can just literally do whatever the hell they want. Like the episode, if he just hadn't have been convinced by Kirk, like they would have had no way out, of this situation. Luckily, he just was okay, I guess I agree, bye, like, so it's not a very strong solution.
You know what? I bet it's not worth it. We're just gonna leave. They're gonna leave. Then we're just gonna come right back down as soon as they're gone. We'll try with someone else.
Yeah, I think they actually didn't even. They're like, just let him go. We'll get someone else.
You know what? Since they look alike, maybe what Vians are to the Telosians are what Romulans are to Vulcans. I mean, they both have dumb-looking heads. Maybe they're related and they split off at an early time. I wish there was a little, like I know people like individual episodes, and some people are like, oh, I hate when it makes it feel like a small universe if everything's tied together. But I would like a little like, oh, we're related. Just in this show, just to call back to something from a while ago. That would be neat.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about this episode, man. This was not my least favorite of the season, and I don't actively hate this episode. I just think it had a lot of potential, and it just unfortunately was boring, and I just wish that I could have liked it more. But I mean, that's always the case when I don't like an episode. I want to like all of them.
It sparked a long discussion though. I mean, so it has something to provide. It could have just been, it was boring, had nothing to do it. Something to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, as we're sitting here roasting certain elements of it, like the plot and stuff, it's like, I still try to point out all the stuff that I did think was cool or interesting. Like, it's not just a garbage, like, nothing redeemable. There's still that cool stuff in there. But, yeah, I mean, I can't hold back when I think that there's a story that doesn't make any sense at all. It is what it is.
This one's spoilers for the Season 3 recap. This one's going in mine. Not bottom 5, not top 5, but the one I'll forget about.
Yeah, and I'm usually always one to be like, oh, I'll definitely rewatch this episode. Yeah, I don't think I'll rewatch this episode. So I think that's fair to say. But hey, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that love this one or like it or even just think it's fine. Defend it. Let us know why you like it. Let us know. I'm sure there's a bunch of reasons that this worked on in 60s TV and it doesn't today, or whatever the case is. Or maybe we talked over something and missed something and we're stupid. Let us know either way.
I was going to say the same thing. You stole that from me too.
Damn, we're getting too in sync here. But what I'm really curious about is specifically these Vians, these alien creatures. Do you guys think they could have been done better? Is there anything you would have done differently, or are we just crazy? Because I feel like they're the biggest missed opportunity of the episode, in my opinion. But let us know, and if it's your first time here, make sure to subscribe so you can watch all of Star Trek along with us, become part of the target audience.
Absolutely. That'll do it for us here at the TA. I'm Alex. This is Josh. We are the target audience. Content's made for absolutely everybody. We think it's specifically made for us, and hopefully for you guys as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.